All right, we are live. We are back. Sorry, like last week got all discombobulated and such, but we're back. Crystal's wonderful to work her schedule around the craziness that is my life right now, especially when I'm going to have to eventually start working Sundays at my job. Not every Sunday, but some Sundays because, we got to give tours 7 days a week to people. It's to me, it's funny when people are like, yes, I want to come and take a tour of a working lot on a weekend when people aren't working on that lot. So
Right.
yeah, you have access to like every area, but you're not going to see anything exciting on a Sunday. It's going to be like a ghost town. But that's my life right now. So what's new and exciting in your life, Crystal? Anything fun?
Um, I think that I am just going to give up watching baseball entirely.
Oh,
I'm just so frustrated, but that's mostly new. My kid, he just ended his baseball season.
oh, did he
Uh,
have fun?
he did,
Yeah.
yes. I'm ready for it to be over so I can kind of resume somewhat of a normal life again. But yeah, so that wrapped up. We've got a bunch of games coming up. My birthday is in a week. Woo!
Happy almost birthday.
So yeah, that's about it. Just
Having
living
having a
baseball forever.
Having a summer birthday must be fun. As I grew up in New England with a November birthday, so it was always on the chilly to freezing cold side.
Oh yeah, I bet that was cold.
Yeah, I was always like, I'd love to have a pool party, but I couldn't. Maybe I'd just lie and be like, yeah, my birthday is in July and just invite people over and not celebrate it in November. But we have a lot to talk about. Do you want to jump in, Crystal, on our first thing that we gonna discuss here?
Sure. We've got a ton of injuries already going. Casey Mize and closer Andrew Kittredge are both having Tommy John surgery.
I think we've discussed how just it seems like it's never ending with Tommy John. It's almost like a rite of passage at this point. It's like, oh, you've pitched. Oh, what ready? We're just waiting for the Tommy John to occur. And I just felt like it never happened, even 5, 10 years ago at the rate that it's happening now. And is it because guys are throwing just so much harder? Or I can't even really know?
I mean, it could be that. It could be still going back to shortened seasons that really screwed
True.
them up and shortened spring trainings. I definitely feel terrible for Casey Mize because I really thought the Tigers were gonna be able to not necessarily make the playoffs, but at least be really good and kind of get into that swing and maybe even make them next year and be really good for a couple of years. So
Yeah.
that's really disappointing that Casey Mize is out already.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because they're going to lose him for the rest of the season and a good portion of 2023.
Mhm.
When, yeah, it did look like their trajectory was going to go up, and that puts a damper on you. And no one of their best young pitchers goes down with Tommy John. It's like it's never. It just seems like it's never ending for people and issues and so many Tommy Johns. And then you get somebody like Chris Sale who's just like he sneezes and breaks a rib. And
Yeah.
then that broken rib keeps you out for literally half the season at this point because not even confident on when he's supposed to return. And the Red Sox just gave him so much money. And it's like that's the big, people bitch about this, they bitch about that. Like I like Chris Sale as like you can tell he's the kind of person that hates that he is like this. He hates that he's not contributing to the team. So it's like part of me is like, okay, well, this is at least someone that is as upset as we are. So
Yeah.
we respect that. But at the same time, it's like that was so much money to have wrapped up in him. And that's sort of the albatrossy contract that, people, I don't think some fans don't realize, and
Mhm.
someone like paying 31 million to someone like him is the reason why you might not be able to pay someone else,
Yeah.
so
If
that
it
can be
if
an issue.
if it makes you feel any better about Chris Sale, Yohan Moncada has no plate discipline and can't hit the ball to save his life right now. And Michael Kopech, 13 pitches in today, walked out of the game
Mm.
with a possible like ankle, maybe
Ugh.
hamstring. We don't there's not been an update yet, but he walked out of the game with 13 pitches. He couldn't even go to like practice pitching again. He
Ooh,
was
is that
like
bad?
wincing in pain.
Oh, yeah. So I mean, it's like no matter what, like a trade like that, the Red Sox won a World Series. like Chris Sale closed out the World Series for the Red Sox, like things like that. So I would never say like, oh, I want that trade back. If you all got Rafael Devers, yeah, I want that trade back. But damn, Deal and Dave did the right one. He was like, I've got two of these guys. And I think the only reason that it was Moncada over Devers is because Moncada was at that time the number one prospect in the whole of baseball. So of course you're going to want that for, like a bona fide true ace. You're like, here you go. Whereas Devers was just like a tick below. But now we're just seeing the player that Rafael Devers is compared to Yoan Moncada. And you're like, oh, thanks, Dave.
Painful to see that right now.
Which
on
is
the
crazy.
other side.
Because 2019, he was like relatively good though, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
he
So
was
it's
really
like,
good in 2019.
yeah. So like you wonder, like you're saying, plate discipline seems to be his issue. So it's like, what's going on?
Yeah, he's just, I mean, they will strike him out looking constantly, and it's so frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like, but I still like the trade could. I mean, who knows what Michael Kopech will be though? Like, injury aside, it's like, I hope he's going to be a starter for you guys, and I hope he's going to be a productive starter for you all. So, because if he's not, then I think the Red Sox, regardless of the albatross of a contract, I think the Red Sox win out that trade just because
Yeah.
you got a World Series and you got really great seasons from Sale. Now the issue is just like injuries and the amount of money that is tied to Chris Sale. Like really.
Yeah.
Yeah. But speaking of another injury, Royce Lewis, the top Twins prospect, will have season-ending surgery for a partially torn ACL. Another issue that happens all the time. ACL injuries seem to just be popping up a lot too. Is the conditioning just terrible?
It has to be. And I mean, it's league wide at this point.
Yeah.
And when it dips into the minors, you're really struggling. But yeah, I mean, for the White Sox, it's all hamstring. For other teams, you've got ACL and Tommy John. And I'm like, what is happening? Do we need to fire all of these coaches? Do we need to implement yoga?
Maybe. Or go back to the days where they were just drunk as hell out there. Maybe that was it. They were all loose because they were so drunk. No injuries.
Bring that back. Who cares? Like, it sucks right now.
Yeah, it's just wild that there's as many injuries, just as you say, league wide and dipping into the minors. Like, what's going on? Like, why are we having these issues just as much as they are? I feel like the Red Sox have been relatively okay. Like, we had Sale go down, but like we didn't expect that. Like that happened in spring training, and then it's just been like so long. But like we knew taking on like a James Paxton, it wasn't gonna be until like July until you see him because he's more of a 2023 thing. But like just seeing what like Michael Wacha has done, like I know we noted it in our notes, like a complete game. The Red Sox have had 3 complete games, and just what Michael Wacha did, like he pitched yesterday and whatever, like he had a little regression, but like you're gonna have a regression from a complete game. The only way you're gonna outdo a complete game is if you throw a no-hitter in the next one. Like it's hard to like. But truthfully, what Michael Wacha has done for the Red Sox has been absolutely incredible, given that, we had some fans being like, you're going to give $7 million to Michael Wacha. You could have put that $7 million somewhere else, blah, blah. Like, he's supposed to be our number 5, really, like a 4 or 5. And just seeing what he's done this season has been absolutely incredible. So I couldn't ask for more. And, the Red Sox big problem is, and I think it's something that they're definitely going to address I'm pretty sure they have like 14 blown saves. It's been bad. Like there's not a person. And I think it's not necessarily not a person. I don't think that Alex Cora needs to say like Tanner Houck, you're our closer. Or he needs to look at someone else and say, you're our closer. Because the issue with Tanner Houck, and I would say right now, I would 100% be like, Tanner Houck, you're our closer if you were vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
Because we can't use you in Toronto, and that sucks, so we either have to have a bunch of blowouts in Toronto, or you have to say, okay, you're our closer when you're in Toronto. If he was vaccinated, I say right now, you're our closer, because you need to figure out roles. And that's the problem with Alex Cora is he's like just throwing out, like you throw Hansel Robles out there and he blew it yesterday. Okay, fine. But like, you need to either say, like, we're going to ride or die with Hansel Robles, or we're ride or dying with Tanner Houck, or we're ride or dying with Strom. Like, you need to figure that shit out. And like, I think that's the biggest issue with the Red Sox, not having a closer. It's like not telling someone they're our closer, but they also do need to get more bullpen help at the deadline, I believe, too.
Oh yeah, certainly. Oh man. So we added this late because I had already kind of forgot about it. Obviously, happy Pride Month to everyone but Tampa Bay.
These few people in Tampa Bay. Everybody else, I hope you have a great Pride Month. But these Tampa Bay guys, ugh.
How embarrassing is it to try to peel off your Pride Night patches because you were so against other humans having any kind of rights? Like, that's embarrassing, you
Or
guys.
the doubling down of being like, oh, no, it's my religion that no religion tells you to hate queer people. Like,
No.
absolutely ridiculous. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous to me.
Yeah, please, like, actually give me that Bible verse and let me analyze that Bible verse because I'm pretty sure they're just asking men not to be like pedophiles and creeps.
Yeah, also, the Bible tells me I shouldn't eat shrimp, so I'm going to hell.
Yeah, you shouldn't be wearing cotton. Like,
Whoops. Yeah. So there's so many stupid things that you can do. But also, like, I went to like, I grew up Catholic, but like I went to like a pretty liberal like church. And I remember one time like our priest, without saying like we love and accept gay people, like pretty much said that in
mhm,
one of the things. So it was like a very inclusive church, being like, if you wanna, because it was definitely a gay couple that like was at our church, and they were very active in our church, and like was like our church was accepting of it. And so this was like in the early 2000s at a Catholic in Boston, which I was like, this is so great. Look at this
mhm.
inclusion of all of these people. So it should always be like that. Like, truthfully, it's the fact that it's not, or the fact that you just get people that are using religion as a way of deflecting their own insecurities. I'm like, why would you, the idea of hating something so much to me is baffling, that you're like, oh, maybe I really like, I don't know. I just feel like there's like a weird projection. Like, why are we doing this? And why was there was like a handful of them. There was like 6 of them.
Mhm.
And then I just don't know. And then like, what is that clubhouse like at like thing like, and like if you go with the statistics, granted statistics aren't everything, but there is like the whole 1 in 10, so telling me there's at least 2 gay people per team,
Yeah.
statistics. So it's like, how this person might not be out, they may not, so you're alienating these other people, while you just have other, so, or there are the people that are accepting. How are they feeling of these 6 people that are just being complete and utter assholes?
Yeah, I mean they're alienating teammates potentially. They're alienating fans. They're making a fool of themselves on TV. I mean, the whole thing is just it's so stupid because I mean, again, we talk about how there needs to be more inclusion in
Yeah,
all sports, really, because it's a boys' club very much. So,
of
women
course.
don't necessarily feel welcome. A lot of like people of color aren't necessarily in booths or covering these
Mm-hmm.
teams. And then you have to think about, anybody in that community,
Yeah.
coming in as an outed bi woman, that makes me feel like crap.
It's
It's
all,
just, it's
yeah,
embarrassing.
it's terrible that these people can feel alienated by something they love. Like, this is a
Mhm.
sport we're supposed to love. This sport we love. This sport, the sport should love us back. And it's like you get people like this that it's terrible. And so, but good. I like at least the team as a whole trying to do something as a whole, because of course San Francisco does it, but like that's a different story because of
Mhm.
the queer culture that just is in San Francisco. Like, you would expect them to go, and then you have somebody like Gabe Kapler, who would like, he would berate any of his teammates if they did like said no against it, because especially when it was like mental health awareness month, he was super
Yeah.
about that. He's definitely about like women in sports in general. He's definitely for, queer people being a part of this sport too. So I think of anybody to be the San Francisco Giants manager, I'm glad it's someone like him that can be a very inclusive person in a city that wants to include a lot of people. But good on Tampa Bay at least trying to do
Yeah.
something. But then you just have the good old boys that are trying to just be ignorant. Like, why are we ignorant? I don't know. The ignorance in this sport is just, or the doubling down is what I find hilarious. It's like we talked about the doubling down with, Donaldson and not realizing what he said was racist. Like, so it's like, so you just get these dumb white men that are just continuing to double down. Or Tampa Bay, why did you let that dude speak? Who are your PR people? You need to get your public relations shit together, because the fact that you allowed him to open his mouth was hilarious to me.
It's just idiots all around.
But so going from that, from a story of people being ignorant to a story about a cheater trying to get back into his sport. Robinson Cano signing a deal with the San Diego Padres. Did you actually see the tweet of him? They had SpongeBob night, and also awesome uniforms. Like the uniforms were dope. Like I was like,
those.
yeah, but him just like at bat and like a SpongeBob. I was like, how the mighty have fallen.
Yes,
there was a time where you wore Yankee pinstripes and was a world champion, and now you're like trying to get back into your sport, and it's SpongeBob night.
Good for them, because I don't like him at all.
Oh no, I don't either. I never liked him when he was of course I didn't like him when he was a Yankee, but like, and put people. I remember the idea of like, who's the better second baseman, Robinson Cano or Dustin Pedroia? And I was like, it's like Dustin Pedroia is a million times the man that Robinson Cano is. Like, who cares? I would rather have Dustin Pedroia on my team over Robinson Cano any day of the week, whether or not natural talent aside, cheating aside, natural talent, Robinson Cano probably won out, but not cheating and the gritty nature and the hard work ethic, like, give me Dustin Pedroia any day over Robinson Cano. So
yeah.
Dustin Pedroia wins that one.
Good for them. So there's some drama.
This is
going
hilarious.
down in Baltimore. So I will say, Peter Angelos, he's still alive. He's 92, but he's still kicking.
He's still doing it.
So I guess he made 3 co-trustees to kind of take over the Orioles once he does pass. And it was his 2 sons and his wife. These are the 3. So he's had some health concerns. He collapsed in 2017 due to failure of an aortic valve. So he's having some heart issues. But his 2 sons are currently suing one another and their mother. On who is going to gain control of the Orioles. So the son's 52 and 54, and then the mom, her age isn't listed, but yeah.
I wonder if she's around his age. Is she in her 90s as well?
I would assume,
maybe
late 80s, early 90s. I couldn't find how old she was. But
okay, this man looks like he's already dead.
Yeah, I mean, he does. But
oh my God. This is like, sorry, Pete. Whoa.
It's giving like Prince Philip when he was dead in the car, but he wasn't. He was still somehow kicking.
Those vibes.
Yeah, but so yeah, some drama. I hope that the wife gains control and like kicks the 2 sons off for being jackasses, because it sounds like that's all they're doing right now.
I would love to inherit something that I didn't work for at all, and then just kind of fight each other over it. Like, what are we doing? Like, you did nothing to earn this. Whereas like your father worked probably very hard to make the money that he did to be able to purchase the Baltimore Orioles, and then you're just going to sue your own mother over it. I don't know.
And apparently it's the older brother that has made a power grab. He's the one that is being sued. But I mean, imagine doing all of this just to get the Orioles.
I know. I mean, are you thinking to yourself, like, I'm going to change this franchise? Like, my dad drove it into the ground. Like, I am the one that's going to make the Baltimore Orioles like back to the days of like the 1980s where, they were winning championships, and they had Cal Ripken Jr. Like,
they're going to get Steve Stone back to pitch. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Anyway, oh my God. So good luck to the mother. Yes. May she win out in the end.
and give
that's
it off
just
to somebody
too
else
funny.
entirely.
That's just too funny. But then we have some fun news. Eduardo Escobar hit for the first Mets cycle in over a decade. In the top of the ninth, with the Mets up by 2 runs, he tacked on a couple more runs with an RBI triple, completing the cycle. It was the 11th time a Mets player had hit for the cycle in their franchise. I do love when it's the triple is like the last one that they get, because it's the most difficult, really. And then you're just like, come on, you got this. Because if it's like a home run, you're like, oh, like that's fun. The triple, like sealing the deal, I always find to be a good time.
I had to wear this shirt today.
Oh, I love it.
For
That's a good one.
Because I was excited about that one too.
So I got my Jackie Robinson Dodgers. I got this Jackie Robinson night when I went to the Dodgers. So really nice. This was like a nice giveaway.
Yeah,
it's like an
that
actual like really nice jersey, because I was expecting it like it buttons and everything. I was kind of expecting it to be like sometimes you'll just get like the jersey part and it'll be like just a t-shirt, but the fact that it like really buttons, I was like, this is a pretty good giveaway.
They spent some money on that one.
Yeah, I'm glad they did, because like it was also the 75 years of him breaking in as well. So it was like even a little bigger deal than just Jackie Robinson's day.
Yeah. Do you want to expand a little bit more on your boy with his second career complete game shutout?
Oh yeah, Michael Walker. It was just such a great, and it was a well pitched game overall, because Syndergaard went out there and pitched like really well for the Angels. Tight game. I'm pretty sure it was like 1-0 that we ended up winning.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I think it's because the Red Sox pen has been literal ass. So when it's like, how can we not go to the pen? Oh, we'll just have our starters that have been really great all season pitch all 9. So because like Walker did it, Eovaldi did it, and Pivetta did it, and it's three complete games this season. I'm all for it, because I love seeing, the starter go out there and do their thing. But it's definitely because he's like, I don't know how to trust this pen.
And he did it in 105 pitches.
Yeah. No, he was
really impressive.
Super efficient, like that whole game. Like there were just innings where it felt like he threw like 4 pitches and he was like out. And it was like boom, boom, boom. And I know like it wasn't the Angels' best lineup, but he still had a pitch to Ohtani and Trout for sure in that. Like, they don't have because once again, injuries with Rendon. So like they don't have Rendon. It's like, but it's still a decent enough like Angels lineup. You had to pitch to 2 of the best players in the game to get out, and there were times where it was like, oh, a home run and the Red Sox are the Red Sox could be losing. Like if you put one on and then Ohtani's up, and he still trusted him in those situations to, get those outs.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Red Sox issues really 9 times out of 10 this season has been the bullpen and the back end of the bullpen. And like I spoke to earlier, I think a lot of it is not necessarily a lack of, we don't have that closer. It's a lack of allowing someone to be that closer. It's like saying to, a Tanner Houck, like, you are going to be our closer, or you're, things like that. And it's like, the issue is that Houck isn't vaccinated, so you wouldn't have a closer in Toronto. Things like, issues like that. But for the Red Sox having been so not vaccinated in 2021 and having an outbreak, I am pretty proud that the only actual player that you could really need and use that isn't vaccinated is Tanner Houck. Everybody else really went through that. So because we were all saying like, we can't wait to see who's going to get outed when you go to Toronto and then you find out who isn't vaccinated. And really, it was like the Red Sox. It was really like Tanner Houck, and I think Cutter Crawford, but like, who gives a shit about Cutter Crawford? Yeah. I don't give a shit about Cutter Crawford. Like, the Houck hurts you. I think Houck being not vaccinated is the reason why we have pushed Garrett Whitlock into a starter role earlier than he probably should be. I'm all for Garrett Whitlock the starter, but I think he needed a full off season and a full spring training. That's why I thought it was going to be 2022, and there was no way he wasn't going to be. But because we ran into these issues of Tanner Houck not being able to start in Toronto, that's when we pushed Whitlock into it. And now we're in a position where it's like, I think they're going to keep rolling with Whitlock, as they should, because there will be growing pains. But I think this is happening way earlier than anybody anticipated, maybe even the Red Sox anticipated. And I think that stems from Tanner Houck being unvaccinated. So for somebody who said, I'm going to do everything to help the team except get a little shot in my arm, Like
One thing.
the one thing that will really help it. And I to this point, I think that Chris Sale is also not vaccinated, but it's not as if he's doing anything to help the team right now. But that could prove to be an issue too come like July when he comes back, if he can't pitch in Toronto either. So
Yeah.
those are issues. But anyways, that was like a little bit of a rant about the unvaccinated on this team. But if you wanted to go into your ex-boy, Mr.
Oh man,
Keuchel.
yeah. My save, Dallas Keuchel. Oh boy. So he was picked up by the Diamondbacks on a minor league deal. So he's not even good enough to like pitch for the actual team. Yeah, so his ERA was 7.80 or 7.88 before he was released.
I want to see what his like FIP was too. I want to see how much worse it was. I'm kind of curious. All right, so his FIP, actually, interestingly enough, not good, but it's still better than the ERA. His FIP was 620, still terrible, but slightly a little better than what the earn run average would tell you.
That's so embarrassing. Yeah, so he's on a minor league deal with them. I guess he's working with one of his old coaches in Houston to help figure out what really went wrong with
He lost
him.
his fastball. That's a big reason why.
Yeah, I mean, he has like 2 pitches and they're still not good.
Yeah, it's like you're not gonna if you lost your fastball and that was something you truly relied on, like you're not gonna get better, no matter who you work with. I mean, I hope for his sake he figures something out, but you lost your fastball.
Yeah, and hell, he's not that old.
No, he's really not. Let's see. Yeah, when you get people like Justin Verlander who seem to be immortal. Yeah, Keuchel's 34.
Yeah,
I think
so
Verlander is like what, 39?
yeah, he's getting up there.
Yeah.
He's almost 40.
How the hell is he this good? Because there was a time in his prime where he kind of sucked.
Yeah,
And
he hasn't always been great.
No, and then it was like he was like great, sucked for a little bit, and now it's like, how are you this good at like almost 40 years old, dude? Like I said, maybe it's marrying a woman that's 10 years younger than you. Maybe that's keeping him young and helping that fast.
That's why my husband is still healthy. Although next week it'll just be 9 years, but right now it's 10.
There you go. So maybe that is the clue. That helps keep men young is when they're married women younger than
Gotta marry the younger ones.
It's working for Verlander right now because he's on like a Cy Young path at like almost 40. Love it. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. But yeah, so the next thing, good for the Angels, bad for my Red Sox. So they had to at one point break this terrible losing streak. It was a 14-game losing streak. The Red Sox were on a 7-game win streak though, so it was like so that did happen for them. Thank God, because it's the amount of money that Mike Trout has. I don't feel bad for him. I don't feel bad that he lives in Southern California, but holy hell, what does Mike Trout think? Like, is he praying for a trade?
So for him and Ohtani.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, they're like the best in baseball right now.
And they're on a
And they're dying in Los Angeles.
Yeah. It's awful, but it's like, you get people that are like, oh, well, I can't feel bad for them because, Ohtani chose to go to the Angels and Mike Trout chose. Yeah, somebody says to me, here's $426 million. I don't think I'm saying,
yeah, I'll go. I'll go live, in Anaheim and deal with that.
Like, so it's unfortunate though. Do you feel that at some point Mike Trout will be traded, or do you think that contract is just so much that what team is gonna, even though he is the best player in baseball, but what team is gonna say, yeah, sure, like let me take on all that money?
So this dips, and I won't completely spoil the next point, but this dips into the like Joey Votto territory.
Mm-hmm.
He's been with the Reds for like 20 years now.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that you might not get a ring, but you're making so much money and you're in a nice place. And I mean, you're doing your best. They take you on, even though you're kind of more injury prone. I don't think he's going to leave, honestly. And I mean, they did just fire Joe Maddon.
Yeah.
So maybe they're kind of.
I don't think Joe Maddon was necessarily the problem, but
I don't think so either.
Yeah. So, Yeah, because it's tough. You want to blame a 14-game losing streak. Like, holy shit. Like, of course you need to blame someone, but and you will fire your manager whether or not like I don't think suddenly firing Joe Madden, the Angels are going to be great. I think they're
No.
going to be mediocre.
Although suddenly firing Joe Girardi and the Phillies are great. So who knows?
Crazy. Who does know? Yeah, Joe Girardi. And the interesting thing about Joe Girardi though is like people forget that he was managing them in 2017 when they went to the ALCS and
Yeah.
almost went to the World Series. So and then he got fired. So it's like these people that are like, oh, he's terrible, he's terrible. Like at the same time, I was like, he's really not terrible. Like I think you all forget that he got fired after a great season in New York, and then they were like, you know who's gonna replace him? Aaron Boone. Even though the Yankees, I don't understand how they are this good because they are pretty much the same team from 2021, and now they just look to be the best team on God's green earth, and I hate it. Like I hate it. I hope like there's a fall off in, because I hate living in a world where I have to watch them be world champions. I wasn't at least super into baseball prior to like 2004. Really, I became a big fan around the perfect time to be a Red Sox fan. But prior to that, so like I really don't remember like them in the 90s being just like completely dominant. 2009 is the one that I remember is one that pains me. It's they won on my mom's birthday and she hates it so much. She's like, she gets so mad. But yeah, so I don't like living I love that it's been since 2009 that they haven't won anything. So I'm hoping this year they don't. I'm hoping that, somebody else can knock them off in the playoffs, or if they get to the World Series that, the Dodgers can do Dodger things. And, I don't care if Mookie Betts wins another damn ring. I really honestly don't care. No. Like go win a ring
to win another ring.
What was that?
I want him to win another ring.
No. I'm also a bitter bitch. I don't like when people win when you definitely didn't want to be in my team. I don't care if he comes out and says, I love Boston. Boy, you didn't want to stay in Boston and you wanted the bag. So you did it. And it's fine. And you get to live in Los Angeles. So I can't blame you for that because I live in Los Angeles.
You feel this way about Tom Brady too?
I just was like, I do in a way, and I don't even like football. It's like, I don't like football. And I'm still like, yeah, I'm a bitter bitch. I'll be the first to admit it.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, so I'll be the first to admit it. If I really like you, though, and I know that, like, things didn't work out. Like, if Xander Bogaerts leaves, that's on the Red Sox, I feel like. I don't necessarily feel that I don't blame the Red Sox for the Mookie Betts situation. In all honesty, I really, really don't. If Xander Bogaerts doesn't stay here, I blame the Red Sox for that. So then I'm like, Xander, you go and do whatever you want, because I do 100% blame the Boston Red Sox for that situation. Mookie Betts, they offered him $300 million. He's literally only getting $65 million more, but like per AAV, he's like making less because of like deferred money, and they offered him that $300 million, I think even before like the 2018 season when he went really off. So you said no to $300 million. I didn't want to pay you $365. I didn't want to give you 12 years because he's 5'9". The dude is gonna break down at some point. So like I really truly don't blame the Red Sox for that, in all honesty. But Xander Bogaerts and Rafael Devers, I will 100% blame the Red Sox. So that's where I stand on that.
Burn it down if they do not give them their money.
No, like I 100% blame them.
Yeah,
for sure. What else we got? Yeah. Oh, you want to speak about Joey a little bit?
Yeah, so we just talked about Joey Votto. He has moved ahead of Barry Larkin on the Cincinnati Reds all-time doubles list. He just passed him with 442 doubles. And then he did his best to make me emotional because he started talking about all of his years with the Reds, and he was like showing pictures of him signing. And it was precious. Like, I want to protect that man always. Like, I don't care about the Reds at all, but I love Joey Votto to like the moon and back.
Yeah.
He's pure. His TikToks are hilarious. His Twitter game is on point now.
Yeah, he seems like a great person.
He is a great person.
And somebody that genuinely loves being in Cincinnati. It is just absolutely unfortunate that the Reds are so bad. And he had like glimmer of hope. Like in 2020, I loved when he had that comment. Unfortunately, it did not. But he thought he's like, we're going to be a fucking nightmare for people. Well, you weren't. You got like blown out pretty much immediately. But I love that he at least believed that, the team that the Reds had in 2020, could win something. And now it's like what him and Mustakis and what Castillo, and that's
Yeah.
about it. And then Castillo could be on his way out come the deadline, even Mustakis and even Votto. But like it's gonna be so hard to see Joey Votto not in a Reds uniform. But I'm also the same woman that said Freddie Freeman not being a Brave. So anything can happen.
Oh, we can move on to depressing things, at least on my end.
Yes, I'm so sorry.
So I did mention earlier that Michael Kopech left the game. It's been updated that it was a knee injury.
Ooh, a knee.
He's being further evaluated. So I don't want to be around anymore.
You're like, I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done with baseball forever. And then Tony La Russa has once again embarrassed the entire fan base by being just a dinosaur that does not need to be managing even a little league baseball team at this point. So this would have been Thursday.
Mm-hmm. Where are I'm trying to figure, the White Sox are where in the division? Let me check it.
I think they're third.
Yeah. So like you still got striking distance, 2.5 out of the wild card.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right, it's just frustrating giving like they are definitely underperforming.
They are, but Tony doesn't make it any better. So Tony La Russa decided to walk Trey Turner with a 1-2 count. Got to Max Muncy. Max Muncy gets a 3-run home run. And like the White Sox booth seemed really confused by the move. The fans were pissed, obviously.
Yeah, that makes absolutely no sense. If he was behind in the count, sure.
Yeah. There was a person in the audience that the hot mic picked up that were like, he has 2 strikes, Tony. And so then Max Muncy comes around. Let me find the exact thing that he says to Tony, because again, really embarrassing.
I don't know, like what does he have on Jerry? Like does he have like pictures of Jerry in a uncompromising position or something that he's holding over his head?
I mean, so Jerry is still upset that Tony was fired, back in the 80s. Hawk Harrelson fired Tony, and he's still like bitter about that. So Max Muncy crosses the plate and kind of just says like, drops a bunch of F-bombs, you fucking let him walk. And he's looking right at Tony. He's saying a ton of terrible things. He felt disrespected.
Muncy also feel like I'm not a fan.
I don't like him either.
Yeah.
But he's got a point.
Oh, for sure. For sure. If it was coming from somebody like else, I'd be like, oh, okay. But at the same time, like I would it's a 1-2 count. If it was behind in the count and you're like, oh, okay, like maybe he could do some damage in a 3-1 count if he thinks he's going to get his pitch, maybe I walk him because I'm sorry, Trey Turner's better than Max Muncy.
Yeah, he is. And I don't know. It's just so embarrassing. And then like Tony's doubling down on it. He was just like, well, if you look at the statistics, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
you've never looked at statistics, dude.
Who cares?
Yeah, a 1-2 count. Maybe you would like. Also, what does that say to your pitcher? That you don't believe in your pitcher in that moment?
Exactly. So Max Muncy, as he crosses home plate, said, "You fucking walk him with 2 strikes. Fuck you, bitch," to Tony La Russa. And I was like, you know what? Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
And so since then, anytime Tony is, his bullpen management is awful anyway. So yesterday there was some chance of fire Tony. So fans are bitter, and it was
I don't blame you.
It was kind of wild because normally, Steve Stone and Jason Benetti are kind of constantly talking through that broadcast. They're constantly updating on what's happening. They were completely silent.
They didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
What would for this season, I wish Hawk was still in the booth because what would he be saying?
He would be unhinged.
I know. I know you would be.
Like, I have a love-hate relationship with him, but I really wanted to know, like, what would
Yeah.
Hawk do in this
Yeah.
situation
Like,
because
I feel
Hawk
like you'd
doesn't care
have
for
to
Tony either.
yeah, you'd have to be curious to know. He's probably at home screaming. But you wish he was doing it on the broadcast because I feel like he's the kind of person that would just not hold anything back and tell you exactly how he feels, which like I would respect that. But yeah, so this is why you don't hire your friends because then you can't fire them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Who do you think see the question would be you fire him, who do you think would take over interim? Would it be the bench? Who do you have on the bench? Or are these all
I
Tony's
mean,
guys?
a lot of these are Tony guys.
That's the problem too. You would have to sort of need this overhaul really to go. There were things that Tony La Russa used to do back in the day that I thought were like great and innovative. I always like loved the idea of for the pitching coach, he had one of the better catchers because he's like,
Mhm.
who understands pitching better than a catcher? And like truthfully, and that always works so well. So I think there were things that he did that I always found interesting and innovative, but now he's just so out of touch with what's going on, just with his players, with the game as a whole. And it's weird. It's like he's making judgments that, like, if this were 2011 and, you know, it was managing the Cardinals still, like, I don't necessarily think he makes a move like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, why is he suddenly just making these questionable moves? Is it because he's old? Is it because he's sort of like, I can do this because I'm Tony La Russa type thing? Like I'm already in the frigging Hall of Fame. That he's in the Hall of Fame already. And like that's
He is.
hilarious to me that it's
And then
like
he also made a comment about how he always, like, will hold himself accountable for things, and I'm like, "Buddy, you got a DUI,
I know. And
like,
still
right
have your
before you got
job.
hired."
I would love to like have a DUI and then my job still be like, you know what? You're still our guy. Like I'd be like, thanks. Thanks for my questionable decisions. And you're still on my side.
I just I don't get it. Like,
Yeah.
any other manager would have been fired
Absolutely.
2 years ago.
Absolutely. Like without a doubt would have been fired. But
Joe Girardi gets fired for less.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So the real question would be like, I think he's yours the whole season. I really don't see him
Mhm.
like I think it's gonna have to him be next year being like, nah, I'm good. Like
Yeah,
I,
he's
I
either
don't
gonna have to decide for himself
yeah.
or, die. One of them will have to die.
Yeah, Jerry, how old is Jerry? He's getting up there, right?
Ancient.
Let's see,
Let's
Jerry
see.
Reinsdorf. Let's see. He is 86.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
wow. He also owns the
He
Bulls
owns
too.
the Bulls.
Oh shit. Whew. So he has 6 NBA champions and ships and 1 World Series championship. Not bad,
Mhm.
but the Bulls aren't good anymore, and the White Sox are underachieving. So
Yeah.
Jerry,
Sell the
Jerry,
teams, bud.
yeah, maybe somebody else needs to take over.
I'll take
Uh,
over.
yeah, we have some news that tickles me.
I put that in just for you.
Thank you. In quite possibly the worst start of his career, Garrett Cole gave up 5 home runs and allowed 7 runs across 2 1/3 innings. And then, of course, he was pulled. But it's the first time that he has allowed 6 or more runs in the first 2 innings and has never allowed more than 3 home runs in a single regular season game. His ERA went from 0.95 and ended at 3.80. After the rough starts, of course, the Yankees came back to win 10-7 because one, the Twins are trash, and
Yeah.
two, I don't understand how the Yankees are as good as they are. I really don't. Like they are virtually the same team they were in 2021, and now it's like I don't get it. I don't get how
Yeah.
good they are. I really don't.
They really, like, teed off on Garrett Cole, too. I mean, it was looking rough. I am and I'm not surprised that they did come back and win it because I put kind of in one of the next ones. Aaron Judge is, like, absolutely on fire right now.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure he was leading off today because
he
they finally
made
were like,
really
"Oh, we should give this guy more at
more at
bats."
bats. He made the right decision by saying no to that money because if he stays healthy for his sake, oh my God, how much money is he going to make? And there's a good chance he's not a New York Yankee anymore because I don't know if they're going to want to give him that money. And I'm here for it. because I would love to see him go bye-bye. But if they win a world championship this year, he's gonna probably be like, well, I'm gonna stay. Even though I say that, and Freddie Freeman decides to go back home and go to become a Dodger. But
exactly. We've seen it. We've seen this scenario play out.
Yeah, for sure. And it's gonna be a lot of money. And I do love the people that there are people that have always been like, oh, Aaron Judge is so overrated, and I'm like, you're
He's
just
not,
jealous. You're just jealous that he's not a Red Sox. Do I still think that when you come to the idea of or at least Mookie Betts versus Aaron Judge, I still think Mookie Betts is better because overall Mookie Betts is the 5-tool player that Aaron Judge isn't. So Mookie Betts has an advantage in wins above replacement and things like that. But the idea of Aaron Judge just being he's gonna walk or he's gonna hit a home run. I'm like, so this is the same people that think Joey Gallo isn't good. Yeah. Joey Gallo is very, very good at baseball.
He might even be underrated.
Yeah, the hilarity of the idea of because it's the old school guys that are like, oh, a walk or a home run, ha ha ha. I'm like, look at that OPS, look at how he gets on base. Yeah, Aaron Judge should have won the frigging American League MVP in 2017, and he struck out over 200 times that year. I don't give a shit how many times you strike out. If you are getting on base and your OPS and your WRC plus is as high as it is, strike out. Cool. I don't care. Strikeouts don't matter when you're getting on base. Like a Joey Gallo and an Aaron Judge, they get on base and they hit for power. Those are guys I would want on my team. And people that don't want guys like that, I find you're old school, you're a dinosaur. I'm sorry. It's the same person that only looks at ERA, or it's the same person that, looks at stupid things like average. I'm sorry. There's so much more to baseball than average, but cool.
Or pitchers wins for the Cy Young.
I mean, that's definitely how it's definitely how Rick Porcello won his Cy Young. Not saying Rick Porcello didn't have a fantastic season. He did. Verlander was still better, but it happens. It happens. The right person doesn't always win. No. But going on to some other stuff. Walker Buehler, another injury, 6 to 8 weeks, non-surgical elbow strain. So that's going to hurt the Dodgers.
Yeah, that's
for sure. Because he's there. I believe wholeheartedly. He's, Clayton Kershaw aside, I think that, Walker Buehler is their best pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really going to hurt them. It's really about staying, health happens so much. The big part of the reason why the Red Sox were so good in 2018 is they were so damn healthy in 2018. We had barely any issues with health at all. And that really just helped propel them into being as good as they were for the entirety of the 2018 season. So health plays such a factor. So I don't care how great the Dodgers are on paper. If Walker Buehler's out for 8 weeks, that's going to hurt you.
Yeah.
For sure. Absolutely.
We can talk about some streaks.
Yeah.
We have the A's finally ended their 10-game losing streak, but Atlanta has won 10 straight.
Yeah, good for them. The Braves are good.
The Brewers have lost 8 in a row.
Streaks happen, even to good teams. And I mean, I don't necessarily think that the Brewers are a world championship contending team, but I think that they're better than an 8-game losing streak for sure. But and Atlanta, they're the reigning World Series champions. The fact that you thought that they were going to go away, the Mets are probably a little better. The Mets on paper are better. The Mets are going to get DeGrom back, things like that. But still, we're talking about the American. We're talking about the last team to win the World Series. There's no way to believe that the Braves weren't just gonna be a good team this year. Losing Freddie, they lost Freddie Freeman, and then they went and they replaced him with Matt Olson, who's younger and whose ceiling is potentially better going forward. So they were bye Fred, here's the perfect replacement. So that was done brilliantly to keep being no, we won, we lost Freddie, but we're not sitting back and saying we lost Freddie and we're not going to keep chasing championships. They are. They're still a great team. Absolutely.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, I feel like the Brewers at best could be a wild card spot.
Yeah, I agree.
I know that the A's aren't doing anything
Yeah. Oh
Mm,
my God. Like the A's entire payroll is less than what Garrett Cole makes, I think.
yeah. So, I
It's
mean,
obscene.
the Brewers one is a little more surprising than anything on that one,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
they'll come back eventually. I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, I agree for sure.
Then we
But
have,
then, yeah,
yeah,
Tatis
Tatis
Jr., right?
Jr. I think he's made of glass.
Yeah, also stupid. Like, sorry to say this, but like, why are we like buying motorcycles and doing stupid shit on our motorcycle?
Yeah. But he won't be back until probably July now because his wrist is just very slow to heal. There was a point in time where I was kind of bitter about
Hmm.
him because
He was supposed to be, he was yours, right?
he was
Yeah.
ours. And instead, we got James Shields and gave Tatis away.
I mean, still.
Now I'm okay with it.
Yeah. He is still young, though, that I'm hoping
Yes.
that you can get past some of these injuries and be the player he is. And no matter what, even injuries aside, the fact is that it was Tatis Jr. for James Shields will
Yeah.
never not make me laugh hysterically.
It was dumb, but I'm not as bitter now. Oh, speaking of injuries, I forgot to even put this down. Lance Lynn is going to be back on
Oh,
Tuesday.
good. Good,
Thank
good,
goodness, because
good.
Michael Kopech just went down.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, just the injuries that have been going on in your rotation has been obscene. So like that hurts too. Like they're underperforming, but they're also been very injured too.
Mm-hmm.
So like that goes against you as well.
Yeah.
But good old Clint Frazier just got DFA'd by the Cubs after. Yeah, I feel bad for him because I felt like there is promise, and there still could be promise there. So I hope
Mm-hmm.
whoever picks him up next, like he does good things for it. Because I always felt like, I mean, and then when he came out and bashed the Yankees, I'm like, okay, I kind of like this guy now. Like I was like, I'm kind of rooting for you, Clint. Like, go do your thing, hopefully.
Yeah, he's good. I like him, but
Yeah.
we'll see where he goes.
So hopefully, something good. But yeah, so that's pretty much. Was there any other news outside of us maybe just wanting to do a little wrap up of what the divisions are?
I think we covered. I mean, it was a busy week. I'm
It
sure we
was.
missed something, but
Yeah.
we're only
Oh
two
yeah.
people.
Absolutely. So yeah, of course, the friggin' Yankees have 43 wins. They're
Uh-huh.
leading the division by 8.5 games over Toronto, the team that I thought would absolutely win the division, but Toronto, I feel like, has been underperforming
They have.
quite a bit. Quite a bit. Minnesota, somehow they're not great, but they're still somehow leading the Central. They have 3.5 over Cleveland, 6 over the White Sox. Hopefully, the White Sox get themselves straightened out because I had them winning this division. Absolutely,
Me
for
too.
sure. Yeah, like I think everybody did. And then the West, fucking Houston is so good. Still, Houston could say goodbye to Carlos Correa, and still, like
Embarrassing.
they have an 8-game lead over Los Angeles. Like they're gonna win the West.
I think it's so wild that the Angels are still in second in that division after losing 14 in a row. But
That's
like
how
that
bad
just
that
proves
division is.
how terrible their division is.
The Red Sox, would you like to go to the West Coast? Because I
Yeah,
will want to
right.
be in this division. And then the NL East, we've got the Mets 5.5 over Atlanta, but Atlanta went on that big streak, so things could
Mhm.
get a little more tight there.
Really?
I think so. Phillies got it; they're 8 behind. And then in the Central, we've got St. Louis, but it's tight. This is tight. It's going to be Milwaukee and St. Louis duking it out all season, I think.
Definitely. Yes.
For sure. And then, of course, the Dodgers and San Diego. San Diego without Tatis Jr.
Mhm.
are just a half game out. And then San Francisco's 4.5. So it's going to be a 3-team race there. Poor Arizona, poor Colorado, like things like that. Even though they're so far away, even though the Red Sox are 12.5 out of the division, they're still in the wild card hunt a bit. I think the wild card might all be, like, honestly, it could be all AL East teams
Yeah,
that
it
win this.
definitely could. I could see that happening because that's going to be a tough race.
Yeah, the dog days of summer are going to be hitting us. I think the Red Sox need to keep playing well in June, and we'll see. There's going to be some deadline. They need bullpen help. Like that's really what the Red Sox need. They need bullpen help more than anything, I think. But yeah, so that's this week with the Soxy Chicks. So
Mhm.
thank you so much for joining us, or if you listen to us later, watching us on YouTube. We really appreciate everybody hanging out with us.
Yeah. we should be
Right.
back hopefully again next Sunday. You all
Yes.
have to tell me happy birthday. You are legally
Yes.
obligated to.
Absolutely. We're gonna give you a happy birthday shout out for sure. All right. Thank you everybody for hanging out with us.